All right.
Yeah.
Here we are, Mona's backyard, hanging out, table talk,
Yeah.
and I am going to be peppering her with questions today. Should be pretty fun. We're going to talk about self-care. Everybody wants it. Nobody knows how to get it. I don't care if you have newborns or your kids are in high school. Like, everyone's like, how do I get that self-care? And what is it even? So, why don't you tell us what it is? And I'm just going to sit back. Look, I even got my,
Okay. Well, self-care is really, it is the topic of moms.
True.
And
We all want it.
we all want it. And as we were laughing earlier, because generations that came before us would be like, suck it up, buttercup. Like, this is what it is. Or like, what did you say?
You know who needs care? Babies. Go care for your babies, and you get over yourself.
Well, and don't you know that's kind of what they would say. But I think that we're living in a different era. Welcome to the Moms Like Us podcast, where moms just like you learn strategies, systems, and skills through expert interviews and real-life insight designed to take your marriage, mothering, and home to the expert level. Hi, I'm Mona Corwin, your mom mentor and host, author, international speaker, and the founder of the Moms Like Us Academy. I've been coaching moms for over 25 years, and I have some really good news for you. Motherhood isn't a natural talent. It's a skill, and you can learn it. You can crush it at motherhood instead of motherhood crushing you. So let's get to today's show. And our era now, back a while ago, however far back you want to go, is moms were able to let their kids go outside, and they would go run and play and go out, even in the backyard. There was a time when they were at least safe in your own backyard. And you would just watch them from the sink. But moms could get, they could go to the bathroom by themselves. Maybe not all the time, but they could find time within their home for their children to be away from them, but the away from them wasn't so dangerous. And we just don't have that.
Yeah.
Like, letting your kids just go and ride to school is a stress-inducing proposition for moms. And so we have those additional stresses. We also have the additional stress of what they're gonna find on the computer, what they're gonna find on the TV.
Chatting with friends at the lunch table.
Yeah, well, I don't know what we're going to do about that. But the truth is,
But it's a stressor.
It's a stressor.
Sure.
And we can't even put them in front of the TV. And it's like, okay, It's Sesame Street. I don't have to sit here. I'm all good. It's SpongeBob SquarePants. Oh my gosh, it's Blue's Clues. Just FYI, mamas, those three, if your kids are watching it, you need to go and do some investigating.
I'm so tired of pre-watching shows. I'm like, if I have an hour to myself, I don't want to watch that to see if you can watch it the next day. Like, I want to watch a cooking show. See, it's even the pre-watching that wears me out sometimes.
Yeah. And so we're constantly thinking, okay, what do I need to do to protect and all of that? Because there's so many ways that our children can get hurt.
Right.
And basically, they're not safe really anywhere nowadays. And we heard a pastor say recently that the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy, and he's just skipped over the destroy, the stealing, and he's going right to the kill and destroy. So, did I say that wrong? Kill, steal, and destroy.
Right. That's right. You did it.
The truth is, that's the truth, and it's infiltrating our homes. This is one of the reasons why I highly encourage anyone to get into the Moms Like Us Academy, because we talk about the foundations and literally building a home that is fortified and what that looks like. And it's not just so that you can have a legalistic view of raising kids. It's not that at all. I don't even think I talk about discipline. But the point is that we've got to put some things in place so we can give our hearts and our minds rest, and we can know, okay, these things are in place, so I'm going to be okay. I've taught my children these things, and so they're going to continue, like when we talked about spirituality, that our children are spiritual beings, like teaching them to have that kind of stuff. We put those things in place, and so we can sit back a little bit and rest from the constant what if.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think the what if is what gets us?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Well, and then when you're thinking about that with self-care, what are some things that aren't helpful? Like if we have all these stressors and everything's like going on, what are some things that maybe culture tells us are good self-care but you think are not helpful?
Okay. My opinion, if you like The Bachelor or Bachelorette, go ahead and watch it. But I'm just saying, going with your friends and thinking that that is a relaxing time where you girls are there. For me, that is sowing ground of discontentment and singleness.
So you're saying like certain TV shows that we're like, okay, we're binging, we think we're relaxing. That's not.
You're sowing seeds. What seeds are you sowing? What thing? Not that you always have to listen to Bible stuff, but what could this sow into our lives? And we think it's self-care, and in actuality, it's working against the calm and the peace and the continuity and the goodness of having a good marriage and being a good mom and having a home that's like what you desire.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, if you're sitting with a bunch of girls and you're looking at a bunch of guys that are trying to get this girl's attention, what is that sowing into your marriage? Because they're talking about sexual things. They're talking, they are. It's sexuality, and it's lust, and it's want to, and it's manipulation, and it's this, girls against this. And I know that for a lot of moms, they do this, and they have wine when they're doing it. I don't have a problem with wine. Some people do. I don't. But I know that if I've had too much wine, I might be thinking or talking in a way that isn't beneficial and really doesn't bring me the self-care that I need. So finding those things that you do that are not bringing you self-care. Okay, so enough of the sex and single men.
Well, you told me something. Well, you told me something a long time ago. When we were talking about caring for ourselves, we don't like so many times, like culture, society, Pinterest, like whatever your source is, tells you the quick fixes. You know, take a long bath, diffuse some lavender. Like, what do you think about those kind of things?
Those things should be happening on a regular basis.
Okay.
So that is not. We have self-care that needs to happen on a regular basis, and somehow we need to get it into our rhythm. The rhythm doesn't mean every day. Rhythm doesn't mean that it's the same when you have little kids as when you have toddlers or when you have high schoolers. But we need to have self-care weaved into our rhythms.
What are some of those things?
A tub.
Okay.
Taking a bath. Asking
blow drying your hair. Like I feel
fun.
like no, but I feel like for me,
you feel pretty.
If I take the extra 5 minutes to blow dry my hair, then I'm like the rest of the day when I see myself in the mirror, I'm like, oh my gosh, hey girl,
this is true.
Look at you. Look at you.
But it's because
is that self-care, or is that just like what is that?
No, I think that's self-care because it is self-care, and you're right. That would be a rhythm that could be weaved in. Plus, we have this really. Amy and I have this, we have matching blow dryers. It's the one that has the brush on it.
You dry your hair in like 5 minutes.
It's so fast, Jill. It is absolutely amazing. We use it today. That, and
I always like candles. And I have started like diffusing the stuff, right? Because you walk into a room and it smells good. Like,
yeah. When you come into your home, if it feels super chaotic. Now, I'm not talking about loud kids or things on the counter. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. Like, you don't have to have a Pinterest house to, like we see on Instagram, to have a house that has peace in it. And again, that's something that we can teach you how to have, but it is something you can have. You really, really can have that. And having that inside of your home just is one of those rhythms that keeps it going, that keeps the self-care, where your soul just has a hot second to go, phew.
So you're saying self-care isn't the bath when you're exhausted at the end of the day. It isn't just the date night once a week. But it's rhythm of lots of healthy things going on.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
Hands down. And then there comes a time when, like you've had before, where you're not getting any sleep, right. The kid's been sick, whatever. That's the time when the macro, the big
so you
self-care.
Need more than the rhythm.
Yes, more than the rhythm. And if you don't have rhythms in your life to create that kind of place where you can go, where your shoulders are down.
Right.
Okay, let's say I can never, because my kids are always fighting and they are super disrespectful and they're being mean to each other and there's always screaming and all I do is referee. I get it. I lived it. So I understand that. But the reason that this is, like, you're probably not going to change the way kids are, because that's just the way kids can be. But what you can do are learn skills and strategies and tips and tools to address the kids without your cortisol going off the charts and you having anxiety when you go to bed because your kids are like that and you don't know what to do, and then you just get filled with guilt and shame. My key to knowing the difference. Rhythms are, I just need a break. Like, I just need a little something. That's when you go back and you look at your rhythms and say, you know what? I'm not even brushing my teeth without feeling anxious. We have a rhythm problem. We put too much into our lives.
Yeah.
And you know how I feel about moms being trying to do everything. We've been told that we can have it all, that we should have it all, and indeed everybody else has it all except for you. That is a lie. And we need to get to a place where we can say, this is what my life needs to look like now. And that's for another topic. I'd like to talk on that, if you ask me that question one day.
Well, no, I love the Magnolia Network, like Joanna, Chip Gaines. Like, I don't have to pre-watch anything. Me and Eva can just watch a cooking show. It's amazing. But she said something one day, like in her cooking show, she said, my kids know that when I turn on the music and I start chopping, that's my time. And my first thought was, how do they know that? Because my kids, I do it. I turn on the music, and Ben literally, which it's so precious, he's 3, he gets his little chair, he pushes it beside him, he goes, I do chef too. Because he wants to start tossing stuff, and and so I kind of had this power struggle at first where I was like, wait, but Buddy, when the music's on, is like, I didn't say that, but in my heart I'm thinking like, wait, if this is my time, then what does this look like? So I kind of had a shift where I was like, okay, when he's at school, that's when I chop all my veggies. And I'm listening to the music. It's my time then, but then it's kind of sweet because when it's time to cook, all he has to do is dump in the onions, while I'm doing the actual other stuff. And then it's kind of sweet. It doesn't feel chaotic. It doesn't feel like he's taking something from me. Like, does that make sense? Because I think sometimes with self-care, if it doesn't go the way that we want it to, or we have it planned, then it can really feel, man, I feel like resentment, or like you're taking this from me, or you're in the way of my peace or health. Or does that make sense?
Yes, and then that makes your kid the enemy.
Yes.
And the kid is not the enemy. Right. You are.
I'm my own worst enemy.
Well,
but again, it took that
because we are always right. Like, my needs come last.
Right.
And then the reality is, they only come last if you're trying to get everybody else fixed before you address yourself. Mm-hmm. But if it's part of your rhythm, then it's like, I mean, you brush your teeth. Mm-hmm. I mean, I hope you brush your teeth.
Oh, yeah. Frequently.
I mean, you don't have to get your nails done every week, but if that's part of the rhythm that really helps, then that's what you should be putting in there. I'm not going to give social media a bad rap, because don't necessarily think everything about social media is
I
bad.
will. I'm over it.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
even
think
there. I'm
everybody
not even
is.
there anymore.
I
It's
think
like over
everybody
it.
is. But if you want to cook, I wanted to make lentil soup last night, and I wanted a new recipe. Well, I went to Pinterest.
Yeah.
So that's social media. So I'm going on there, and the only thing I have pinned are things that I treat social media like a magazine. Like a magazine. Like I'm going to sit down and I'm going to look through the magazine, and yes, there are ads in magazines, and yes, there are ads on Instagram and all of that. In January of 2023, so I don't know when y'all are going to watch this, we are going to be doing a series on kind of like jumpstart or kickstart your mom life or something like that, or some kind of health thing, not health thing, but how we can reset our motherhood so that it includes us, right? So that we can have the home that we want and everybody's taken care of, including ourselves. So we're going to have a lot of self-care in there. So if you're watching this, and it's after that, go back and see it or whatever. Because these are things that can be done just with knowledge. Just a little bit of knowledge that we've already gotten here today are things that you can absolutely implement. Okay.
All right. Oh, sorry.
One big thing.
Oh.
And this is, you may not want to hear this, but a lot of the stress that we can feel as women has to do with money. And because a woman's desire is always our greatest need and our greatest desire is security. And if we can be secure, then we know that everything's going to be okay, because this is what we do. We're the, what do they call them? We're the gatherers. We're looking around for all the stuff we need to do and staying away from all the bad stuff. And that's what we do. Men do not do that. Men are like hunters. They're protectors. Their instincts are like this. This is why they don't want to listen to your long stories, and they're thinking, is there a point here? My husband actually said that when I was telling that story that someone else had told me. He goes, okay, I'm double here. Like, does she have a point? Do you have a point? Telling me you don't have a point?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the way they are. And they're like, there's the food, shoot it, kill it, bring it home, put it on the counter. And we're the gatherers. We're the, okay, I'm going to put some vegetables in there, and I'm going to put it in the oven. And, this is who God created us to be. So when we as women don't feel secure in love, and that, we don't want our men to leave us, we want to know that our kids are going to be okay, this is part of the way God made you. And when things go against that, it adds for cortisol to come out of us.
Yeah.
Men don't have that problem. If they see something that looks really dangerous, they're like, okay, they know what to
fix
do.
it, and they go to bed that night for 8 hours.
And they don't think about it again.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy.
It is crazy, but it is the way it is. We also, in the Academy, have times when you can learn about authentic womanhood and authentic manhood and the way God created us, because we're actually different. We are. Here's something. Do you know that there's a crook in a woman's arm that a man doesn't have? I know that's shocking, but it's because we carry babies. And that's why men always look kind of, when they're holding a baby, and they got to kind of figure it out. But we can hold a baby on our hip, and our feet, I have a picture of Linda Loddick. Her feet are firmly on the ground. Her hip is out, and she's got a baby, and everybody's like nestled in around her, and it is a perfect picture of motherhood for me, because she's so strong, and they're all leaning into her in different ways, and they're different stages of childhood. And that's who we are. That's who we are. And when we go outside of that and we're trying to do the things that are masculine, that require more of our testosterone levels go down, and then our cortisol goes up. So that's when we feel like we're striving and we're not getting anywhere. And this is part of that teaching.
Because what is oh, the lady, the brain lady. Why is my mind?
Caroline.
Yes. Caroline Leaf. The body keeps score.
Yes.
You can't be in denial for too long.
No.
So here's what I heard you say. Self-care, it's about rhythms.
Yes.
It's not just like, I think of, you can put a Band-Aid on a scratch, but if you have a gaping wound, you need to go to the hospital. If you are walking around as a gaping wound because you are riddled with anxiety, maybe your kids are rebellious, maybe there's just a lot going on, one bath is not going to fix you, right?
Correct.
But putting rhythms in place, like now part of my rhythm, I established it literally 2 weeks ago, is I refill my diffuser and my son's diffuser because he's like all the allergies. And it's like almost like my mind is like, okay, I'm starting to go to bed. Like just like a little something, right?
Yep.
And another thing you said, self-care, to kind of pivot instead of blaming your kids when your plan A doesn't work. So it's
not your kid's fault.
It's not your kid's fault. So it's like a mindset shift of, okay, if I really want that bath every night and I want it to be at 7 p.m., maybe I could have it at 8 because they go to bed at 7:30. But, so it's like not just saying you're in the way, but we could pivot. And that's when you can ask your friends, you can
yeah, what do you do?
Yeah, what do you do?
The last thing you want to do is blame the people that you're trying to devote the most to.
Right.
Because you're just going to be mad at your kids.
Yeah.
And say it's all their fault.
Right.
Baby, it's not all their fault. Like, look at Mona the Mom Mentor. It's not their fault, baby. It's your fault. You have to figure this out. Ask an older woman.
And you can figure it out.
Yes, it is
figure it out.
doable.
Don't feel like
you can't.
Everyone's getting it but you. The only reason why other people are getting it is because they asked people where to get it. Okay.
They asked for help. And then they asked for help implementing it.
Yeah.
Asking your husband for help. And,
right.
and knowing how to do that. Knowing how to ask your husband for help. Yeah, okay.
And if he doesn't have a good answer, that's okay.
Yeah,
don't blame him either. It's your self-care.
It's your self-care.
Okay. So the next one you said was
that's
like
kind of
having,
hard, but it's Mona the Mom Mentor. I'm not going to babysit you. Like,
well,
it's true.
It's worth it. It's worth it if you do the hard work of figuring out what works for you.
And if you really, really don't know and you're listening, then I'm a DM away.
Yeah.
Ask me. I'll help.
So you said too, self-care is about correct perspective. I know some people where it's like they think their life should be all relaxed and peaceful and caring, and so if anything hard comes, it's like,
well,
so it's like
their
correct
expectations
perspective.
are totally wrong.
Expectations. Ugh, we live and die with those. All right, and the last main thing you said was self-care. We need to be anchored in hope, anchored in Jesus, because if our identity is in the wrong place, or our expectations, or our focus, or we're taking our eyes off of Jesus altogether.
Our security
is in the wrong place.
That is so
and
true.
we're looking for little Band-Aids to fix this gaping wound where Jesus is like, actually, let me come in and get you anchored in the right place.
And that when I was talking, I was using money as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Money, taking care of your money and knowing where your money's going and what you're doing with your money and not overspending is self-care.
Yeah.
It's self-care.
Having plans and rhythms is self-care, which you won't hear that anywhere. I never heard that anywhere, but it's true.
I mean, a massage is always good.
Lord knows I love massage.
Me too. Let's go.
And we're ending on that. No, I'm just kidding. All right, any final last thought? So what's not helpful is just like a quick bath, but what is helpful is if your rhythm is taking a bath a couple of nights a week, so it's the rhythms more than the quick fixes.
It is. It's the rhythms and the plans, the perspective and the expectations. And what I really want to say here is, of course, being in God's Word, I don't have to tell you that that's going to make all the difference, but it does.
Yeah.
I just wrote a blog on music and what I was scrolling and what was I looking for on Instagram. I went down a rabbit hole, right? 45 minutes in. I'm like, seriously? I teach this stuff. What am I doing? And we're gonna teach on this in that January group when we start talking about how to break up with your phone. But I saw that I was drawn to these sweet scenes or not sweet scenes, but it was the music. And I sat there and I thought, I want to live a life that's accompanied by music. And so I created a playlist and if you DM me, I'll send it to you.
It's wonderful. It's like
going right now.
It's going in my car, in my house. It's like the most chill, peaceful, like, you know.
And the cool thing about it is it doesn't distract you from the moment that you're in. We have a lot of distractions hopping back and forth. And even though listening to a podcast, maybe you're listening to this podcast right now while you're cooking dinner. But if you're in a high stress time or you're feeling like you don't have enough self-care, then you may need to like be in your moment and just have music that accompanies it and doesn't, your mind's not double tasking. Or like some nights I'll put on like music from when we were in high school and I'm thinking about all of our high school times, my man and I. And I like to do that if I'm folding clothes because it's just kind of monotonous, right? Or if I'm cleaning the toilet or whatever. But if I'm...
Wait, what did we say earlier? If you want self-care, the best place to get it is your laundry room.
Oh, yeah. This is actually a really good idea. Y'all, I don't care how big your laundry room is.
We got to go. This is getting long. We got to go.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. Well,
but we were saying even when you're in the bathroom, like your kids, like they can be like, Mom, and put their fingers under the door, like, are you in there? And you're like, I just trying to use the bathroom. But if you're in your laundry room, they never come in there.
No, nobody wants to come into the laundry room because they're afraid they're going to have to work.
That's like the most genius, funniest thing I've ever heard.
It is. It totally is. So put your Bible in the laundry room.
Put your diffuser sitting there.
Why not?
Put a little oil on your fingers.
Yeah. But we're going to have a lot more to talk about. And as you can see, we always have a lot to talk about. We're really glad that you joined us because moms like us, we do things like this. And when we do, we want you to be there. So, yeah, till next time.
Bye, y'all. Bye for now. Go take care of yourself.